Ladies and gentlemen, our panel discussion will now put the spotlight on future-proofing retail, the vision and the strategies. Please help me in welcoming on stage our distinguished moderator and panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Chairman Retailers Association of India. Please welcome our moderator, Bijou Kurien. Come on, can we have a louder round of applause? Can we have a more energetic welcome? Thank you so much. He is Chief of Business Operations, Reliance Retail Limited, and our keynote speaker. A warm welcome to Ashwin Khasgiwala. Let's hear it and make some noise for the founder, Trust for Retailers and Retail Associates of India. Bijou Kurien, our most erudite moderator, and the panel.
I think now it's much easier to see a much larger group of people within the hall. And I'm certain that this panel, which is comprised of the wizards of retail, as I might define them, from the extreme left, Nagesh, who started Shoppers Stop in 1993? 91, which makes it 33 years, and the creator of modern retail in India. Ashwin, who heads retail juggernaut. I mean, that's the only way I can, describe Reliance Retail, considering the size that it has achieved in the last now about 18 years and the speed at which it is growing. Then, of course, when nobody thought that you could get fruits and vegetables and dal and rice in your home, other than by going to a grocery store, we had Hari, who said that I will deliver to your house, you don't have to come to my store, the creator of the online grocery retail business in India, Bigbasket CEO and co-founder. And then we have Sagar, the youngest in the group, by no means the least experienced. He's very experienced. He's very innovative. He's got great ideas. And when everybody thought that the QSR business in India was to be dominated by the MNCs, Sagar said, we from India can do something, and took one category and one name, and has now extended that single name to many more categories and created a footprint which is significant, active, and very, very tuned to the Indian palate, starting first with Wow Momos. So this is the group that we have here. When we talk about future-proofing retail, it's a very difficult subject, because the first question everybody asks is that what aspects of retail will you consider when you think of future-proofing? And when I started to reflect on what is it that you can future-proof, I said that first of all, if you have to be in retail, you have to have a consumer. Somebody who's going to buy from you, call them a consumer before they become a customer. The second that you have is that you got to have a place where they buy from. Either they come into a store or they buy online from your site. So that's the second. Whether you are quick commerce, whether you're Amazon, or whether you're Shoppers, there is one location where they come in to buy. Third is that we're not making everything that we sell. So we need suppliers. So the third is the supplier. But more important than the supplier is the process of ensuring that the product flows from our supplier to our store, wherever it is, and then flows from store to customer. So that is the next part of it. Then the fact is that we are building an organization. And since we are building an organization, we need people. And we need people who understand what exactly we are doing so that they don't do something else. Then after that, we realize that we need processes. Because even if we have people, we need to make sure that these people can actually follow certain processes so that there is repeatability, there is efficiency, there is cost management, all of that stuff. Then, of course, we might be, what you might define as an oasis in the desert where your presence is not known to the people around you. So there is a whole bunch of work which we need to do in terms of communication, content creation, commerce, in terms of fulfillment, payment, all those aspects which fall into our larger set of processes. And then as Ashwin is mentioning in his keynote address, while we do a lot of this stuff, we also have to worry about the impact that we create on the earth that we live in and on the communities that we live within and on the resources that we utilize, the larger ambit of sustainability. All of this, if we wanted to discuss, will take us maybe the whole conference. So obviously, we have to restrict ourselves to a few. And I haven't briefed my panelists so far. So what I'd like to first start with is to start with Nagesh, purely from the fact that he believes very strongly in people in retail. And what I'd like to ask Nagesh as a question is that when you think of people in retail and the people who are currently in retail, there are two big problems that we have. One of which is your own articulation from several decades back. How do we make the profession more attractive to get more people to want to join retail? Second, the way retail is changing. How do we make sure that people can adapt to the changing needs of retail, which is digital literacy, customer orientation, your ability to know more about the product and the brand than what the customer knows. So these are just a couple of questions I'd like to ask you in terms of future-proofing retail.
Thank you, Bijou. To me, there are two things that we need to really look at from a consumer point of view of future-proofing. And this is happening all over the world. The Gen Z and the Gen A behavior is very different than our current customers. And there is a millennial who's become very, very rich. And that consumer is also going to be the consumer of the future. So I would call one 50 plus, and second I will call 25 minus. Okay. Unfortunately, most of us are not targeting them specifically, and therefore we are going to miss them if we go forward. Okay. I just will take two examples of last week interaction. A young couple working in US for the last 3 years have worked in their companies without owning a home, without renting a home, without having a car. Okay, they have been on the move around the world, but they have worked. Okay, so they don't consume anything inside the house. Everything is consumed outside. Okay. And last week, a friend of ours turned 60, and the couple decided to do camping in India. They're getting a camp fitted on their SUV, and they're doing a 45-day trip. Now, these are the two customers of the future. If you look at all of us, probably we are not targeting them directly, because for us, all of us, it is the 25 to 45. Now, when you have to cater to these customers, I think your associates also have to be aligned to that. Now, can you align them to the customers? No. I think you have to align them to the purpose of the organization. So I would say one key thing that all of us have to do is we have to really look at our purpose. If you look at all of us, I would say 90% of us would have a vision statement, a mission statement, and values. I have not seen even 10% of companies which have a purpose statement. If you have a purpose statement, then they're inclusive. And if you're inclusive, then you're thinking of the customer and the employee. So I would say start from there. Since most of our employees are also Gen Z, to be able to connect them to a Gen Z is not very difficult. It's not difficult at all. But the aspiration of a customer and the aspiration of our employees are going on two different sides. So unless we are able to meet some of the aspirational needs of our employees, any amount of training will not really help them. We don't know how to grow them because the way the organizations are moving. So we'll have to really help them grow. So make them inclusive, and I think quite a few problems will get solved.
Is there anything you'd like to talk about, how to enable the employees, the people who work in the stores, the people who are in our organizations, to get them to become, let's say, more technologically savvy?
So, Bijou, they are all very tech savvy. Our policies are restricting them. Look at this. A customer comes and the customer is online at that moment with the latest information. Okay? Most of us don't allow our employees to be online. I mean, if you go to a store and an employee is looking at the mobile, your immediate reaction is these guys are not concerned about it. But look at the gap. The customer is on the second, and sometimes you are behind by a day or a week because the last product information that you've got is a week before. So if it is a connected world, then maybe we'll have to change the way we operate. That's number one. Number two is somewhere we are losing the whole brand semblance in customer connectivity. Offline retail was, I'm in Shoppers Stop, I'm serving a customer knows me. Today my product it goes through some warehouse, some guy, and finally lands up with some delivery person who does not even know that it's the Shoppers Stop being delivered. So we are losing that customer connect with more and more online coming. We'll have to think about it. Otherwise, most of us will say we got a delivery. We don't say we bought it from Shoppers or bought a Bigbasket. So I think these are 2-3 things which are important for us to get more connected to our customers. But enabling our employees to come on the same platform at the same time, I think is going to be very critical.
Thanks. Thank you. And since you mentioned bought it from Bigbasket, let me address his next question to Hari. Hari, you know that grocery retail is the graveyard of retail for most organized retailers. But when you decided to venture into grocery retail and online, what is it that actually which came into your mind that you could actually change the paradigm around how customers would see grocery retail as opposed to seeing it from going to the local neighborhood grocery store, buying, coming back home, sending somebody there to buy and bring back like the driver or the maid in the house, but you felt that there was an opportunity to be able to get the person of the house to actually be the shopper and to be able to choose and not to be able to feel and touch, but yet to be confident enough that they will get in their homes quality products.
Thanks, Bijou. There was just one thing that, that we decided to do, which we thought would actually make a difference, and that wasn't Surf Excel Kedar, because that was the product that everybody knew and what it was. It was a distribution game, it was a delivery game, and so that was in our minds easy to do. So we said, and most online grocers world over, there aren't too many. I actually start with FMCG and start with products like that because it's a little easier from at least knowing the product, or understanding the product. So the single biggest thing we did, Bijou, is that we said we should start with fresh. So it meant two things: either we kill ourselves, or we make a difference. Because to me and to all of us, the biggest differentiator would have been the way we manage and deliver fresh produce, and specifically fruits and vegetables. So we started fruits and vegetables day one. Every city we went to, we started with fruits and vegetables. And we told ourselves that if you don't get this right, then you will probably not be in business, because the quality and everything that you do depends on how well you deliver fruits and vegetables. And more importantly, this is one category where the lady at home wants to take that bhindi and crack the thing on top, right? And the sound that you hear decides whether you buy it or not. And she won't be able to do it because she's got to just accept, because she can't be doing that when my delivery boy goes, because he's not going to be waiting there for it. And so it became that much more challenging to make sure that we got it right. And so that was the single biggest thing, Bijou, that we told ourselves, that get fresh produce right, which is fruits and vegetables, fresh meat, and to some extent, staples, our own products. While there's not much of touch and feel there, but it was really important to get that right. And I think we managed to get that right. We spent time, energy, put in a lot of technology behind it, put in a lot of money behind it, and made sure that we moved slowly, moved well, and got that right. So that was the single biggest thing.
How do you see this into the future? Now, when you've described how you brought it to where it is today, but now when you think about the future, the next 10 years, the next 20 years, and then think of yourselves as an online grocery player, think of many other categories which are online, think of many others who are competing in the same category offline, and then see, how will the model evolve? Why should customers adopt you more? How do you think about all this?
So, Bijou, to me, I think the future, for our kind of businesses, and it's not just grocery, but I see three things that we really need to keep our focus on and keep innovating in those three spaces. One is, I think it's going to be critical to get to the omni-channel space, right? And I think that's going to be very, very important, where customers, even our own customers, they buy physical, they buy online. So I don't have other than me, myself, maybe, or my wife, who buys everything on Bigbasket, right? We have people people are walking around, they go to a grocery store, they pick up what they want. So it's critical to get omni-channel in. There are complexities. It's not as easy as we think it is. It's not just about a store delivering online. There's a lot to be thought through, and that's one thing that you need to do to future-proof yourself. Second is, Nagesh really talked about these two customer segments, and they were absolutely perfect. I think the minus 25 is starting to now, look at buying grocery online. I'm specifically saying grocery. They used to buy other things online. So the minus 25, and that's because I think one single thing that we need to really start innovating and get better and better is, I think speed of delivery is getting important, right? And we had choices to make last year, and we deliberated those choices. We waited. We were not too sure whether, this is something. I mean, you tell yourself, why would somebody need groceries in 10 minutes? I mean, nobody thought that people would need, but there's a new segment that opened up. There's so many such new things that came in the past while we were in our last 11 years, and we passed all of them, successfully, and those businesses didn't take off. But this is one piece, and I think what's happening is that I think that segment is really opening up, and a large part of that segment is what is demanding speed. And hence, it's important to work technology, to work whatever you're going to do in the organization, to start seeing how you're going to deliver faster, right? And fast could mean anything. It's not just 10 minutes. It depends on the category and stuff. And third, I think, is really making sure that your supply chain is optimized to such an extent that you start getting cost benefits and you start building such businesses profitably. And that's really important, because one of the challenges of delivering fast is everybody's wondering, how is it going to be profitable, and how are you going to make money? And I really think that tweaking the supply chain, investing in supply chain, just-in-time, processes, just-in-time stuff will really get you there. So to me, three things, omni-channel, speed of delivery, supply chain is what I think you need to look at protecting the future.
Great. Since you've just provided that question, provided that point, Ashwin, this question to you. Everybody always admires Reliance Retail for the size that it has managed to achieve. And size is represented in terms of revenues achieved. But when you think of how those revenues was achieved, through how many thousands of stores, through how many hundred thousands of employees, through how many suppliers whom you partner with, through the fact that you are online and you are offline, from luxury to value across almost every single category of consumption. What this means is that, most normal people will shudder to think of, how do I even control something of this magnitude? But obviously you seem to sleep well. So how do you really, adopt processes and technology in order to ensure that you have complete control over what is actually happening from the moment a customer buys or from the moment a supplier gives it into your warehouse?
So, I think it is use of technology in terms of really as a way of working in our organization. We are a company which is way back when we talk. I mean, these are things which more of it is about the genetics, which really answers the question. So, even while the first refinery, I was very young and I have been fortunate to be in Reliance for many years since the beginning of our first refinery. I was there. So one of the very important things, and an example, I'm not giving a retail example, I'm giving another example for people to relate, is that right now when we see so many things of image recognition and things like that, in our first refinery, it is a pipeline and a jetty which is 14 kilometers away from the main refinery. The ships come and from there you have to unload the crude oil which comes and it goes via pipelines. Now it is 14 kilometers. So when I first time went to Jamnagar and they showed me that this is our technology. Now what is the technology? It's not about refining, you can't understand. But what they said is that your car, we went in a car to the jetty. Your car's number plate is this, and our control room can follow this number plate. Right for 14 kilometers, the camera keeps focusing and it will never lose sight and it will recognize the number. Now this is about technology. In those days, I'm talking of 1996, okay. In those days, this was the technology which was imported and brought and implemented. So from there, when we look at retail, you were also involved in retail in the initial days. Our point of sale system is completely online from those days, from 2006 onwards when our company started in retail. It is using VSAT in those days. Now we have 4G, 5G, we have all the broadband and everything, but using VSAT as a technology, which was only used by National Stock Exchange at that time for the terminals, and it was a technology rare, we were online actually. And now, of course, everything is so more connected, and everybody, as I said in my keynote also, that now technology has become affordable and available to everybody. So use of technology at every stage and really fixing it in terms of as a business process enabled by IT and with a dashboard with all kinds of monitoring parameters around it, optimizing it, then the computer keeps on working actually. Once you have fixed that particular process right, with the right kind of knowledgeable people, with the right kind of consultants, with the right kind of technology, then it keeps on working. Then you focus on something else, fix that, fix that, fix that. So constantly whatever you have accrued in terms of fixing, it really remains there and it keeps working. Then periodically you keep reviewing it as technology changes or situations of the business change. But the ethos of having everything on technology and assisted by technology is what really makes it happen, is what I would say in terms of managing such large situations.
Underlying comment I'm hearing is that there is a vision that technology can play in the operations, and then based on that vision, there is, you look right into the future to understand where these processes itself can go, and then marry technology to it in order to be able to support.
Along with the people who understand what is to be done. That is extremely important, because what technology can give to everybody, but really using that in terms of your business requirement and putting it in and out input and output in the right manner really helps actually. But people are extremely important because they tell what is the process and they tell what is the requirement actually. Right?
Okay. Sagar, this question to you. You know, in your business, you compete for share of mouth. Okay? And when you
share of the stomach is what
share
you
of stomach. Okay. In a way, you compete also with Hari. Because Hari encourages people to cook at home and you encourage people to eat out. Now, when you think about eating out, it means pricing, access, products which suit people's palate, understanding what the needs of the customers are, and figuring out what is the right price point for which segment of customers. So when you really think of, let's say, the way India evolves and the fact that food services as an industry is kind of counter to food retail as another industry, how do you think about, you know, the way consumers are evolving and how you should evolve? But more so in terms of how food services should evolve.
No, I think a very, very interesting question. And, you know, the way we've evolved over time, like I say, you know, there's a belly expansion happening in India. And I think that's why Hari sir and me are here because, you know, that's why I mentioned share of the stomach. And I think when you're in the food business, you have to believe that, you know, when people make good food, you have to make food good. So you have to give people what they want, okay? I don't think it's about competing. I think it's about complementing. So, you know, we are hearing about online, offline. We are hearing about e-commerce. Now, quick commerce becomes the silver crowning on e-commerce. But to be honest, if you have to really future-proof the business, and this is what I've learned over time, you have to stop talking about omni-channel and talk about multi-channel. So if I have to give you my example, I sell momos from QSR, but I also sell momos, packaged momos in Bigbasket, which is the frozen momos. So that's multi-channel for me. If I have to give you more examples, you all know about 24/7, which is a 24-hour chain in Delhi NCR. So they would sell momos, normal momos, they would buy from the market, from a B2B player and sell it to the consumer. So I reached out to them with a proposal that, you know, let's convert those momos to Wow Momo. We did a pilot in 5 stores. They would sell 11 plates of momos per store per day. It became 30 plus, just with the brand name and the quality given. So you know, you have to be visible in different forms. I mean, today we're talking about a Momo vending machine. We are talking about frozen momos, which is obviously packaged. We are talking about, you know, being there anywhere and everywhere, wherever it's visible. So I think you have to learn how to complement, at the same time, give the consumer what the consumer wants. So what COVID taught us was there's this perception of health that sells in India, not really health, to be honest. So, you know, the only unhealthy part about a momo would be the white flour, which is the maida. So the next thing would be to create a gluten-free momo, to create a diet momo, right? Give people what they want, but doing the right things at the right time. Now, obviously, when you want to do a diet momo, the diet momo or the gluten-free momo will only be successful when people like Hari make people aspirational to, you know, consume quinoa starch, consume other stuff, and habit creation happens. So I would never say we are competing. I think we are complementing. It's moving from one step to the other. So I think when you experiment for health in India, when it comes to food, you first try it from, you know, from food service, which is your grocery stores or from e-commerce. You make it at home. And then when you feel you have the palate to it, then when you go out, you don't mind experimenting with it. Because you want to first try it yourself. You want to, you know, in India, we give a lot of importance to what we make by ourselves, right? And I think that's also an experience. And I think with the advent of internet, you know, we've all gone so aspirational that even a guy sitting in Aizawl or a guy sitting in a Jumri Talaiya today knows, you know, what a fried chicken or what a grilled chicken is, or what a Wow Momo is, or what Domino's is doing. So I think it's evolution over time, and I think we all need to reinvent ourselves time and again. I mean, you know, when I started Wow Momo 14 years ago, there was nothing known as food tech, right? Personally, for me, selling online is not food tech. I mean, food tech would be the way we've taken the Momo shelf life from maybe, you know, from 1 day to 1 year in frozen. The way we're talking about a Momo vending machine, that's food tech for me, right? How do you robotic fries in the stores, steamers that are, you know, robotic, you don't require people to man them. Today, delivery has become a very big part of our business, right? So before COVID, delivery was just 10-12%. Today, habits have changed, where my father, who would never use the phone to order, today he's ordering from a Blinkit and saying, "Dekho, 10 minutes mein aa gaya, 5 minutes mein aa gaya." For him, it's become like a video game. My niece takes my phone and just orders the waffle, right? So I think more new consumers have come into the online space, and I think that is where we all are benefiting, which is Hari sir, myself, Reliance. I'm sure Nagesh sir, he's been there, done that, and he's also seeing the entire evolution. But times have changed, and when times change, you need to reinvent yourself, reinvent your business model. I mean, 14 years ago when I started Wow Momo, I remember my friends and family telling me that, boss, what are you doing? You're going to be a Momo wala after studying so much. And in 14 years from now, today, I go and say that, हमारे देश में अगर चाय वाला प्रधानमंत्री बन सकता है, तो मोमो वाला भी कुछ कर सकता है. So I think times are changing. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, you could never think of an Oyo, of a Zomato, of a Bigbasket. My first order from Hari sir's Bigbasket was when I launched my first store in Bangalore. And I remember ordering fruits. I was sharing a guest house with someone, and the fruits came very nicely packed. I mean, it looked colorful. It had all those fillers around it. So it looked as if कि वो फल पूरा सज धज के आया है. So again, जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. So I think that's how habit creations happen. And I think it's here to stay. I mean, I just read an article yesterday where they say that every 15 minutes, there's a new startup coming in India, right? So I think these startups are here to solve for problems. So what Nagesh sir mentioned about, Gen Z and, this new Zen of AI coming into play, etc. I think don't be surprised where, solutions will start happening. I mean, no one thought 10, 15 years ago that, Zomato, Oyo, Swiggy, Bigbasket would, get where they are. I mean, today we're talking about super apps. Tata Neu is all about super apps, right? So I think times are changing very, very fast. And I think all of us here, we need to readapt, reinvent. Otherwise, we're going to not succeed.
Great. Thanks, Sagar. With such an illustrious panel, it will be unfortunate if I didn't allow the audience to ask a few questions. So if there are anybody in the audience who want to ask a question to any of the panel members here, just raise your hand. Somebody will come to you with a mic and just mention your name and state the question that you have. Any questions from the audience? Or we can go back again to the panel. Sure. Okay. I can't see any questions so far. So going back again to the panel, where if I were to ask you a question on technology, and Ashwin, this question is, because Reliance is one of the largest users of technology in any business, forget just the retail business. So, but when you think of, the way technology has enabled businesses, and especially with the recent chatter about AI and things like that, how do you foresee or vision technology to be able to change the way we would actually sell, we would actually connect with consumers, we would actually recognize consumers in terms of repeat behavior, and thereby be able to customize what we are able to offer to them? How do you see technology playing those kind of roles? And you did mention some of those in your opening speech about, social media and various things like that.
So, I mean, both the sides you have asked actually in terms of using vision recognition technology. So that is more of, there are several aspects in which vision technology, cognitive recognition is used currently by us. And in terms of when you go to the store, the whole store is having cameras. And that was initially for surveillance in the store, which was used. And over the period, so many more with the same investment what has been done, plugging to that, so many more use cases have come in terms of understanding where the customer is looking, when the customer is coming inside the store, and the customer is, what the customer is following the pattern of their walk inside the store. So very simple, it helps us improve our efficiency in terms of where are the black spots, in terms of dark spots where the customers are not going, which you could come to know by just what is not selling. But really, because it is not in the visibility of the customer, or they are not looking down, or they are not going to the corner, you are able to improve and put those items which are essential in that corner and make it more, because you have to make use of every square foot in the store. So that is so simple about that. But really, in terms of when the customer is visiting, there are initiatives which have started. There is obviously privacy and customers permission required for several things, but those who really enroll to the program, then we are able to recognize that the customer has come to the store and somebody from the store really greets them in terms of telling the customer hello. A simple hello to the customer when the customer comes, and the store manager or the concerned customer service associates are really enabled to talk to the customer by the identity. It really helps in assisting the customer in that sense. And other part of really using technology in every aspect, as I already said, actually. See, another aspect of this vision technology is a lot of it is being used in the supply chain part of it, actually. So we have now technology where really it is enabling us to monitor what is getting filled inside the truck. So in our warehouses, we have cameras facing the truck from the dock, and then first of all, you are prompting what needs to go inside the deepest, because that has to come out when the last delivery has to happen to the customer. And at the same time, whether you are stacking continuously in the right manner to fill the truck in the most efficient manner. So these are things which are, built with technology. We have a company called Adverb, which specializes in this. So really, technology of vision recognition is really going a very big way, and really, so simple. It is about two examples which I will give you. One is in fruits and vegetables. Constantly, we have to ensure that there is the freshness around. There is a complete proper display in terms of the fruits and vegetables. So we are using those cameras now with trained algorithms in terms of recognizing that this fruit and vegetable is not up to the quality, so it prompts the store people to really pick it up, or it is not having a fill from the crates, which are the storage crates, to keep it full in terms of visibility of the customer. Similarly, in our CPCs, which are our acquisition of fruits and vegetables from the farmers, the collection centers and CPC, we now use image recognition based quality sorting straight away. So all this is embedded, and I'm not giving you a pipe dream. This is actual reality. Anybody who visits our facilities will be able to see this happening. So really the technology plays an extremely important role, and as I said, the vision of our leadership to really use technology as soon as it comes or ahead of time and push the people who are knowing the subject to more use cases and pushing them to really do it. So for example, we have Intello Labs as our company which does this for fruits, vegetables and grains. When they had initially come to us in our incubation in GeoGen Next, they had come with the ability to recognize grains. And they said, this is very precisely, we can tell that this grain is of this quality. So we said, very good. This is extremely important for us in sourcing our grains and the pulses and everything. It will help us have a good quality check. But why don't you think about the fruits also, actually? So then we gave them our manual of what means quality, 2 dots, 1 dots on a cabbage or a cauliflower or a tomato or a pomegranate. Then they really trained their system and came back to us saying that now we are ready to check the quality of these fruits and vegetables and gradation and sorting as well. In terms of what you see, the most advanced, costly equipment abroad, they have built it in terms of sortation of fruits and vegetables. So that is what they did. Now thereafter we said avocado is an item, it is very costly and very risky. Everybody is scared to buy an avocado because inside what will come out, or it will ripen or no, you don't know actually, but you invest that 400 rupees on that piece and wait for it to ripen. So now when somebody else came in, they came in with a medical really use case that by doing this, I'll be able to tell inside what is there for a particular use case. And our people said that, why don't you think about this? Okay, the technology, and they have built it in that manner that now you can do the quality check of an avocado and really know at the source itself when you are buying that whether it is having a problem or no, because you see those brown things inside avocado and you feel very frustrated when it comes out stale, right? So these are the kinds of innovations led with existing technology and thought process is how we, try to improve.
Great, thank you. They're lovely examples of usage of technology. And I guess at the end of the day, the more you automate and make it less manual, the more the reliability you have over the entire process. Hari, this last question to you. It's about brands. All of us in retail always believe that we have to have the right set of brands to sell because that is what will attract customers to come to our stores. However, what we have also seen is that when we look at a market like India, and when we look at different customer segments, and if you look at different categories and the brands available in those categories, there are always either price gaps, or there are feature gaps, or there are design gaps where we feel that nobody is servicing. And many retailers feel that there is a great opportunity for us to be able to create whatever you call it, store brands, private labels, etc., to fill these gaps and supplement it, which then creates a separate business machine of its own where they feel that why only fill gaps, why don't I also compete with some of the others? So how do you think of private and store brands in the future? Do you think retailers will actually need to create a lot more because India might be, say, a brand under-penetrated market or a brand deficit market, or in certain categories there is no branding at all and there's an opportunity to start branding? How do you think about branding in the retail industry?
Yeah, thanks, Bijou. I think we've actually done a lot of work on our own brands, and we've got a significantly large range that we have. But Bijou, one thing we chose not to do is to build brands around what HUL does, right? We've consciously chosen not to do. Why would we do it? I mean, they do it so well. They've scaled so much. Customers, they pretty much have everything in that range. And the point I'm making is that what we've done is we've made sure that we either differentiate or fill gaps, or be a good number 2 player when there is only one large brand in that space. And that's what we've done right through. And we feel that it's worked really well for us because, and this, we call this whole process of ours EPIC, E-P-I-C, the emerging brands plethora. So plethora is what we don't play in, and plethora is what we don't want to do is what. And I'm using this example because it's one of the best examples that I could give, is that we do not want to play in standard regular soaps. I mean, why would we do it? There's so much of research, so much of work, so much of stuff gone into it. So we've left all that. So our strategy has been build differentiators. So we've looked at emerging areas that we looked at. We've looked at organic. We've looked at health as key areas where we find there aren't enough products. Or we've looked at being a good number 2. There's only one single large brand, and you can be a good number 2 to play in that space. And that's what we've done.
Great, thank you. Thank you, and I think time's up. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for sharing of your knowledge so generously. And thank you to the audience for a patient listening.